I run 150 miles a month, and I thought I'd run you through some of my favorite headphones for both exercise and daily use. So these are the AirPod Pro 3s. Apple has made some significant design improvements with these. Number one, the case is actually lighter from my experience. Just from like holding these, I can tell the difference. So I don't know if that's true, maybe it's just subjective, but it sure seems that way. They have changed the design of the headphones in regards to how it fits in your ears. And with this new tip design and actually new tip materials, what I have found is they do not fall out of my ears like every other AirPod Pros that I have had. And they seem to do a pretty good job with noise canceling. They do have a heart rate sensor, which is a nice improvement, but it's not something that I would say is worth upgrading for. My main thing would be the fact that they don't fall out of your ears, so that would be a big deal. These are the AirPod Pro 2s. I've used these for a couple of months now. I had them maybe like 6 to 9 months. And what I will say is, while they do a great job with noise canceling, they do fall out of my ears regularly, so I have to keep pushing them back in. They just kind of slide their way out. And while I have not had that issue with the Pro 3s, that might be an issue in the future depending on how like wear plays into that. So I'll let you guys know as an update video, but what I would say is if you're someone that doesn't have the issue of the headphones falling out of your ears, for a reduced price point, I think these would be worth it over the Pro 3s. Just something to consider. These are the JBL Endurance Peak 3 headphones. I have run over 100 miles in these headphones, actually hundreds of miles in these headphones, I should say. And what I will say is they do a really good job of like cutting out the ambient noise. They have two different sound settings here for like ambient aware and not aware. And I really enjoyed these for running. They're also waterproof, which means that like you can literally go in the water with these, like submersion, but you can't listen to music when you're underwater. So it's not like that. The way that they turn on is when you pull this back. So when this connects, this actually turns it on and off, which is pretty cool. And I like the way that they set up their features. One thing that I didn't love was the way the volume and stuff is done. There is no tactile button there. So tapping to play, pause, and things like that on the run, not my favorite, but I will say that I really love these for my running and the way that they cut out the ambient sound. One issue that I had is I had two pairs of these. The other pair I ended up throwing away recently just because the left headphone was no longer getting a charge, whether that was just from like normal use of like putting it in and out, or if that was something that went defective on the headphones or the case. I'm not really sure, but it had kind of stopped charging. So I would go out for a run and then suddenly one headphone would die, and that was obnoxious. So that's just something to be aware of, but that was over a year of use and literally hundreds of miles of running that they lasted me. Now I have the Powerbeats Pro 2s. These are my current running headphones. I got these mainly because of the hook. I wanted to make sure that I knew it wasn't going to fall out because these guys didn't do a good job. And I was hoping that they would do a good job with noise reduction. However, what I have found is they do not do nearly as good a job as these. So if you're looking for just, you know, the ability to just completely block out the noise, while these aren't perfect, they do a better job for me at least. But what I will say is I do like the Apple ecosystem with these. I also love the tactile buttons for the volume up and down, which is nice. And these little buttons right here for the noise canceling and then obviously the play pause stuff. So I have really enjoyed this. One other thing that I will say is the way that Apple's headphones connect, you can pause the music, or in my case, the audiobook when you're out running or exercising, and they don't disconnect. One thing that I have found with the other headphones is that if they recognize that nothing is being played for a little while, then they will just turn off, which is kind of annoying if you still want to get like your running metrics in, or if you want to be able to restart your audiobook, you have to turn your headphones back on for that situation. So just something to consider. But I do really like these. They're just not as good at noise canceling as I was expecting, and they are pretty expensive. But they have the Apple ecosystem, they have the heart rate sensor, and I like the tactile buttons. So yeah, and overall they do fine. I might need to test out some different tips for these, but for the most part, I still do like these. Then we have actually my next favorite headphone as far as like noise canceling goes is the Bose QC2s. These guys, I will say, in my opinion, do a better job of canceling out noise. Let me turn this light on because these are black, so it's kind of hard to see. Do a better job of canceling out noise than the AirPod Pro 3s. Like actually a better job. I've tested this out several times, and while these are certainly close, the Bose QC2s tend to just like really crush the noise in the surrounding environment. One thing I will say is I have continued to have an issue with one of these getting disconnected. Like one headphone will no longer connect, and I'll have to like reset the entire device, or one headphone won't charge, which has been an obnoxious issue. So I have had like troubleshooting tech issues with these a fair amount, and that's been quite frustrating. When you go to grab a pair of headphones and you put them in and suddenly one of them's dead, that's not a great experience. So that has been my only issue, but like when they are working, they work quite exceptionally well and I really enjoy them. These would be my next noise canceling headphones. These are the Logitechs, and they've done a pretty good job with this whole design, but I have had connection issues. And there is sometimes like sound issues with this one with a little bit of a crackle because the way it was designed to be like for conference calls and stuff like that. So definitely more of a workhorse headphone. They sound great. They do a good job with noise canceling, but they are certainly not my favorite when it comes to the overall experience, mainly because of just troubleshooting issues between connections and some of the other noise canceling stuff. So just something to be aware of, but if you are someone that's looking for Logitechs, these do a pretty good job. If I had to pick though, I'd still go with the AirPod Pro 3s over the Logitechs for sure, and then maybe the Bose if you want that kind of ecosystem. The last two headphones are identical, they're just different colors. These are the OWS Pros, and they are exceptional. I really love these as over-ear headphones. They don't block out any noise. They are meant to be something that you can listen to while still being fully aware of your environment. They are made for like runners or just people working in an environment where you want to be able to hear. And I have been really impressed with the quality of these headphones, which is why I have two of these. So these are OWS Pros. They have a great battery life. They have good connectability. They have a really nice, basically lossless audio. Nice bass and everything like that. Good features as far as like buttons and things like that to work with and how everything works when you're using the headphones. So I've been really happy with these, but they are over the ear and not connected. They're not like sealed headphones. So running wise and things like that, not the best. They do work, but they're definitely not the best. But you will be very aware of your environment if you're using these. So those are just some of my thoughts on these headphones. I wanted to make this video just to help some people kind of think through some of those ideas. And hopefully it did. Let me know if you have any questions. And remember, you're either going to sink or swim. So let's rise with the tide, and I'll see you on the flip side.